Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this in the morning, 15 minutes to change our lives. Continuing on in this beautiful, powerful Maimer, Alata the Tzaveh, getting into the meat and bones of the Maimer. Hachana for Gimmel Tammuz. So we're in a test. We started to discuss that really everything we talked about till now, we're missing out a little bit of a little point. And that is the whole story that we said, Kim Mashikibul Kfar, that by the time of Purim story, they had accepted what they had received by Matan Torah. Under is Nishma. That wasn't real, meaning it wasn't really brought out until we had the level of by Purim. By Purim, when they had them Mesiras Nefesh, Galus, for Torah mitzvahs, that was when it really expressed itself. But the Rebbe comes and says, 1 second, this whole vart of Kim or Mashikibul Kfar, we accepted what we had started by Matan Torah, was said after the whole story of Purim. After already, it was already good. It was already good for the Jewish people. So how does this fit into everything we're saying? We're implying that it was the Mesiras Nefesh. So the Rebbe says it's really the answer is really both. There's two levels. There's a level of reaching the Mar through being kasis in the reality of galus, and then there's a deeper level, which is being kasis in not the type of galus that we're used to. And that's what we discussed. Like it said in yesterday, we end up saying yesterday, we're still servants of Achashverosh, even after all said and done. We are crushed, we are broken. One of them is because it's galus that's crashing us, and one of them is because we're in galus, it's crashing. Not that galus itself is doing anything wrong, because we're living by Archava, like we live in America. But the fact that we're in galus is doing it. So Megin Lamar, that helps us reach the Mar. Now let's discuss a little more. Because ultimately, we're going to discuss this on two levels. One is in general, this idea that we're bothered by the fact we're in galus, which is something that we can all meditate on and think about and recognize in ourselves that one of the biggest struggles in life we have is because we're unhappy with the status quo. But one of the reasons why we're unhappy a lot more, you could say, the reason why in our generation we're a lot more unhappy than it was in previous generations, it could be simply because we're unhappy, we're in galus. Now the generation that didn't have time to be unhappy. They were too busy living life and trying to survive to have any of these thoughts. But now that we have everything, so why are we unhappy? We have everything. We should be much happier than we ever have been. You know, like when I was on shluchus with helping out the shliach in Vietnam, so I saw people that live off like less than $1 a day. People live literally on the streets, and from job to job, like they would drive little tuk-tuk motorbikes, and that was like their parnas. And they made nothing, and they had enough. They made enough to get some food, they ate, and then they would pull out a hammock and tie it up to something and sleep. And that was their life. They didn't have any place to live. They were happy people. How come we're unhappy? We have, what this guy would dream of, and we're unhappy. So the reason why we're unhappy is because we're in galus. And this is why Yidden around the world are always running to do things and trying to change the world. And you see these Yidden, as I had a friend, I have a friend that he was working downtown Manhattan in one of these office buildings, and one of the offices was I think it was a Free Palestine office, and everyone who worked there was Jewish, and he ended up putting a mezuzah on the door. Why? What's the problem? It's because they're in galus. This is ultimately the source of it. Because they're in galus. This is what we'll discuss. And then we're going to discuss that even a person that's on a level of a title like the Rebbe also is crashed in galus, even though he has everything good. Meaning spiritually, he's for sure everything's going well, but still that he's crashed. Let's see. So the explanation is like this. Is that we're broken and we're crashed because of the fact that we're in galus. Gam Kashiyesh Lahem Harchava Bagash Ruchnis. Even though we have Barchava, we have plentiful in Gash Ruchnias. If we compare our lives to the lives in people, in our parents, and the generation before that, we have it very good. Oh, why? So why we crash? What's bothering us? Because the real want we all have, whether we know it or not, we want to have the revelation of Elikus. We want to see God. We want to have that connection with God. Let's introduce, and this affects the essence of who we are, our central soul, the very essence of our being. And therefore, and therefore, we don't have the revelation of Elikus like it was in times of the Mikdash, and specifically, when you think about and you meditate on what it says, the whoever didn't build the base of Mikdash in these days, as if he destroyed the base of Mikdash. So we think about this, that the fact there's no base of Mikdash is because it's being destroyed. So when you recognize this and you think about this and you meditate on this and you internalize this message, is there in Ganzen to trace it. From this itself, we are broken, we are shaken, we are crushed. It bothers us, and this is why we have this issue. It's because we're bothered, because we're in galus. We don't understand why. In the old generation, they didn't ask why does God do bad things to good people. They didn't think that way. They didn't have that opportunity to think that way. We live in this mindset of gula, and everything should be perfect, and it bothers us when it's not perfect. And that's the thing, and it bothers us. Now, the Gam, the Rebbe says, not even on a deeper level, a person on is much higher level. The Gam, even if you have this level of the revelation of Elikus, like it was in the base of Mikdash, meaning you're tzaddik, like the story, I can't remember who was the Rebbe, that someone ran into his room and he said, Mashiach is here. It was like he heard it, the shofar blowing him, Mashiach is here. The Rebbe opened the window, smelled outside, and he goes, he's not here. So the question is, why did he smell outside? Because inside it smelled like Mashiach already. In his room was already Mashiach time. But even him, he's still broken. Even though the revelation of Elikus is there by him, and they see Elikus, and they see godliness and God and God's real, and they Lord and they daven and they bring, and then it's very real. But doing like Gilish always on the Weiss, and they have the revelation of godliness like it was in times of Beis Mikdash, like the Rebbe, you could say. Even the Rebbe, but the fact that in the whole world itself there's no Gilul Likus, it's irrelevant if it's in my room. It's irrelevant if the Rebbe has in the Rebbe's room, everything is good, and he sees a Gilul Likus, and he has that feeling Mashiach. But he's not happy. Why? Because the whole world doesn't have it. So Muchach, therefore, Shegam Hagilu Shemei Etzloi Hu Gilu Mugbal. Therefore, even in the Rebbe's room, even by the Rebbe, it's limited. And he understands this because Mashiach is everywhere. If you can't have Mashiach in your place and nowhere else, that's not the truest form of Mashiach. Therefore, the Geshemei Gilu instead of Blik Vul, because the Blik Vul, the infinite revelation of God's infinite light, Hagilu Hu Mikol Makim. The revelation is B'chol Makim, everywhere. So therefore, Kshiyesh the Makim Echad. Therefore, when there's one place, I feel Piloni Dachas, even a far out corner that doesn't have the Gilul Likus, Ein Meir Sham Gilul Likus, Hu Mipesh Agilui Gam Makim Shu Meir. Therefore, the revelation of the Likus that it is, even where it is revealed, even in the Rebbe's room, even by the Rebbe, Hu Gilui Mugval, it's limited. And you could say, F Shalom, you could say it's sort of saying like this. One of the reasons why is in of Shlichus, and sending all these people, it's because there's no Gilui Likus in that corner. And therefore, if there's not Gilui Likus in that corner, there's no Gilui Likus in our Dalet Amos, where we're living, in our area. In 7-7, in Crown Heights, and in all the Fum communities that is very powerful, and they have a lot of learning and davening and all the good things they're doing. But if in the one corner in Vietnam, there's lacking Gilui Likus, therefore, even where we're holding the lack of Gilul Likus. Like I said in another way, if you feel bad for the Rebbe that there's no Gilul Likus the way he wants it, so we have to do our part. We have to go to find that corner. And that corner doesn't mean, so therefore, I'm not saying And we have to go to the far reaches corner of the world to have galus, because not shaykh for everyone. But within ourselves, for sure, we can find that corner doesn't have the galus. So and this is understood like what the Alter Rebbe says in the Maimer. He says a very interesting part. He says, "Is the tikkunim?" It's important from tikkunim. When the tikkunei zayar, shafilu im haya tzadik echad chayzev tshuva shleima. You have one tzaddik that does complete tshuva. This is a wild idea. One tzaddik does complete tshuva. But there haya ba Mashiach, and his generation Mashiach would come. Very, very interesting statement. Why? Because through his complete tshuva, we draw down the infinite light through that tshuva. And therefore, that infinite light is infinite and it's every place. So therefore, and therefore, when a person, even on that high level, doesn't have the revelation of Atzvus Ein Sof, he's broken. The Rebbe is saying this sort of, you can sort of say there's two levels of broken. It's broken because you're in galus. The average person, he doesn't like the situation. He's broken and it bothers him. And it's crashing, it's shaken, it bothers him. And then you can say even on a deeper level, even a person that's on a level of a tzaddik like the Rebbe, he said, like, so the Rebbe we understand because the Rebbe was always trying to change the world. But you take a guy that's a tzaddik, he's living in whatever it is, face us, a different community, that he has his life, he's davening, he's learning, connected to godliness, and he's real, and he does everything right. Even him, he's going to be crushed. Why? Because he understands that if there's a corner, it doesn't have a galus, therefore it's not real, it's not there by him as well. Because ultimately, like we're saying from the Alter Rebbe, that it has to be in every place. It can't be a galus properly in your area alone. It doesn't work. How you do it, like it's known, like it's known that a chayla, the chayla means sick. So the gematria of chayla is memtes, 49. Even if you have 49 levels of understanding, you're still sick. And that's what you're going to explain. Shegal geshemagia memtes sharabino. You reach the 49 levels of understanding. But you're lacking the 50th level. Therefore, buchayla is sick. Doesn't mean you're physically sick, but it means you haven't reached. Meaning exactly the same point we're saying now. We have everything. And this is sort of the push that I was pushing over here. You have everything. You're not in galus like they were in Russia. You're not being crushed, not being forced. You're living everything by chava. You're even a tzaddik. You have everything. You have 49 levels of understanding. Life is good. Everything is going good for you. But you're still unhappy. Why are you always unhappy? So why we're always unhappy is because it's galus. So unfortunately, what we tend to do is to try to find the solutions outside of us or doing random things. But what they're saying is the solution is work on bringing Mashiach, working on davening more and learning more and connecting other people and saying, what can I do today to bring Mashiach? Because I'm bothered, not because I don't have enough toys, as my kids, or not because I don't have enough, whatever it is. It's because I want Mashiach. The idea, it's no, in Mashiach. Okay, this is a whole nother beautiful part. Whatever, we'll jump in a little bit quick. We'll try to finish out this area. Okay. Yeah, we do it. No, in Mashiach said, try Nishma Meireno, Rabbi said Nishma Ein Adam Zakin, it was heard from Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe used to say this. And what did he say? Very famous Vart. He said, Ich will sehr garnist dich. Do that again. Ich will sehr garnist. Ich will nicht dein Gan Eden. He says, I don't want anything. I don't want your Gan Eden. Ich will nicht dein Olam Haba. I don't want your Olam Haba. Ich will mehr nicht als dich allein. I want only you alone. The Alter Rebbe said, I don't want anything. I don't want your Gan Eden, your reward. Now, as Rebbe said different in other places, yours, meaning even the Gan Eden of the Eibishter on his level. That I don't want any reward. I'm not doing Torah mitzvahs for reward. I'm not doing it because I get anything, because I gain from it. I just want to be connected to you. And this is what ultimately every Yid wants. That's what we want. So you're going to say to me on this level? Come on, let's not kid ourselves. I know where I'm holding. So he says the fact that it was heard from the Tzemach Tzedek, and the fact Nishma means the language he says that it would be heard, which means he said it often. And before Lachish and his parsim specifically Tzemach Tzedek is sharing this information. Why is he sharing it? That it means that we also have this want, and we can also have this. He's telling us, not because he's telling us to show how great the Alter Rebbe is, he's telling us to show that you can have this as well. And you have the koyach, we have the ability to also want this. We have to believe in ourselves. And to such an extent that we have this want and we can reveal this want, that when this is not revealed, Mikal Shekain, and even more so, Bisman Hagalus, Shein Meir, I feel Gili Hagili, Gili Urish, and even more, even if it's not even the revelation of the time of the Beis Hamikdash. Who b'matzav akas is bothers us. Mavakish Gimmel Pa'am B'chal Yom, and we ask 3 times a day, or maybe even more, like in Musaf and stuff. What do we say? That may our eyes behold your return, Tzion, with mercy. We want to go back. We want Mashiach. And then when Mashiach comes, we'll have the revelation of Elikus and Atzmus, which will be everywhere. And the fact that it isn't, this sort of means that we're crashed to the luminary. The fact that we're crashed, not because of something external, not because of the oppression that's coming from the Achashverosh, or it's coming from the communism, but because of the fact that just we're in galus, that helps us Magil Amar, that reaches that essence of us. Because this that we have this want, have the revelation of godliness, this affects, this is coming the essence of our Metzias. And therefore, who nishbar v'ninke kasis. Zesh b'zman galus lo yesh gilul likus. Because the fact that we're in galus, we don't have a gilul likus. That's what is bothering us. And where does that come from? It comes from the essence of our being. Ma'ar shem neshama. This is the ma'ar. Kasla ma'ar. We're crashed because of galus. It's not because of what galus is doing to us, but because of the fact that we're in galus. This connection with Elikus is an essential connection. And when we have this, because of that essential connection, there's a lot to bring about of this, but it's getting a little late. So we continued on Monday. Mitzvah Hashem. Thank you very much for joining.